We begin this hour with the ongoing power struggle gripping Venezuela. Today, opposition leader Juan Guaido is announcing nationwide tactical action to overthrow President Nicolas Maduro. It comes a day after his wife, Fabiana Rosales, traveled to the White House to get renewed support from President Trump. To discuss this further, I'm joined by Nicholas Davies. He's the author of Blood on Our Hands, The American Invasion and Destruction of Iraq. Nicholas, thank you so much for joining us. Now, after the U.S. confiscated billions of dollars in Venezuelan assets and attempted to install opposition leader Juan Guaido as president, do you see Russia's support for President Maduro's government largely a response to U.S. actions, which Russian Prime Minister Sergei Lavrov described as a coup d'etat in violation of the UN Charter?
Yes, well, it is. You know, there's only one country threatening another country here, and that is the U.S. threatening Venezuela. And so I'm sure the government of Venezuela is grateful to have some help. You know, no one was there to help Afghanistan or Iraq or Libya defend themselves against U.S. invasions. And I think clearly the Russian government learned something from that, and they did defend the government of Syria against the U.S. and its allies' efforts to destabilize and overthrow that government, and that has been largely successful. So, you know, I think in the interest of avoiding a new war in Venezuela, I would hope that Venezuela's Russian allies can help Venezuela to organize its defenses. And of course, that is perfectly legitimate. Every country has the right to defend itself and to ask others to help it defend itself.
Nicholas, what do you make of U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton's comment that Maduro has lost the support of the Venezuelan people, so he's relying on Cuban and Russian support to usurp democracy and repress innocent civilians?
Well, Juan Guaido's party has 14 seats out of over 160 in the Venezuelan National Assembly. So, you know, he clearly is not the democratic leader of Venezuela. President Maduro has been elected and re-elected several times. And in fact, even in the last election that a couple of opposition parties boycotted, apparently on the advice of their allies in Washington, even then, Maduro still got a larger percentage of eligible voters voting for him than Donald Trump did in 2016. So, you know, and a delegation from the U.S. Peace Council just returned from Venezuela after meeting with a lot of different people and groups and communities in Venezuela. And they reported back that, you know, Guaido is really a bit of a, you know, regarded as a bit of a clown and certainly a complete stooge of Washington. And in fact, this entire escapade on the part of the U.S. has, in fact, rallied the people of Venezuela, perhaps not to necessarily support Maduro, but at least to reject and oppose the intervention of the U.S. in their country. Just as Americans bridle at the idea that Russia might have interfered in our election, you know, how do people think Venezuelans feel about the U.S.'s open, blatant interference in their internal affairs?
Nicholas, we cannot ignore the role of Venezuela's immense oil reserves in this conflict, with the U.S., Russia, and China seeing themselves as stakeholders. How could these conflicting interests further escalate?
Well, as you just reported, it sounds like Guaido and his supporters are, with U.S. encouragement, moving to, you know, probably more types of sabotage and efforts to stir up, some low level of actual conflict in Venezuela. This is all incredibly dangerous. I mean, this is why the UN Charter prohibits countries from the threat and use of force against other countries. What the U.S. is playing at here is incredibly dangerous. If anything, it seems to be uniting more Venezuelans to oppose the U.S.-backed coup. And, but the more the U.S. persists in this incredibly dangerous policy, the greater the danger that we will see, escalating violence in Venezuela.
All right, Nicholas, we're going to leave it right there. Nicholas Davies, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.